You're drowning in noise. Every notification, every opinion, every expert telling you what to do, how to think, who to become. Your phone buzzes. Another guru with another course. Another post promising the secret to success. Another distraction pulling you from the one thing that matters. The work. Stop. Right now. Stop scrolling. Stop consuming. Stop hunting for the next hack, the next shortcut, the next piece of advice that'll magically transform your life. It doesn't exist. What exists is you, right now, with the power to cut through the bullshit and focus on what's real. Most of you are addicted to the noise because silence scares you. Silence forces you to confront who you really are and what you're actually doing with your life. It's easier to stay busy, stay distracted, keep consuming content about success instead of creating it. Here's the raw truth. Every minute you spend consuming someone else's content about success is a minute you're not building your own. Every podcast, every video, every book about motivation is time stolen from being motivated. You're getting high off other people's energy instead of generating your own. I know what you're thinking, but this is different. This message will change everything. No, it won't. This is just another piece of content unless you make it the last one. Unless this becomes the moment you cut the noise and start living in reality. Reality is simple. It doesn't need 1,000 steps or a 3-hour morning routine. Reality doesn't need you to buy another course or read another book or follow another influencer. Reality needs you to identify what matters most and eliminate everything else. What matters most? Your health, your family, your work, your growth. That's it. Everything else is distraction, keeping you from becoming who you're supposed to become. You don't need to meditate for an hour. Spend that hour working on your craft. You don't need to journal about your feelings for 30 minutes. Spend those 30 minutes taking action on your goals. You don't need a 2-hour productivity podcast. Be productive for those 2 hours. The noise tells you that you need systems, hacks, tools, apps, spreadsheets, planners. The truth? You need to do the work. The work is simple. Not easy, but simple. Identify what you want. Figure out what you need to do. Do it every day until you have it. That's the system. But you don't want simple. Simple doesn't feel sophisticated. Simple doesn't make you feel like part of some exclusive peak performer club. Simple doesn't feed your ego. Simple just works. And working is scary because it means you might fail. It means you might not be as special as you thought. Here's another raw truth. You're not special. None of us are. We're all just people trying to figure it out. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent or luck or connections. It's the ability to ignore the noise and focus on the signal. The signal is always the same. Do the work consistently, when you don't feel like it, when no one's watching, until it becomes who you are. The noise wants you believing there's a secret, that successful people know something you don't, that if you find the right mentor, book, or course, everything will click. Here's the secret. There is no secret. There's only work. Boring, repetitive, unglamorous work. Every entrepreneur who built something real spent more time working than talking about working. Every champion athlete spent more time training than reading about training. Every artist who created something meaningful spent more time creating than consuming other people's creations. You know this. Deep down you know this. But the noise is so loud you can't hear your own thoughts. You can't trust your instincts. You can't believe the simple truth could actually be true. So you keep searching, consuming, waiting for someone else to give you permission to start. Permission denied. Nobody else can give you what you're looking for. Nobody else can motivate you into action or discipline you into success. That's on you. Always has been. The noise just covered up this truth. Cut the noise. Not tomorrow. Right now. Delete the apps that distract you. Unsubscribe from channels that entertain but don't serve you. Stop following people who make you feel bad about yourself. Stop consuming content that makes you feel busy but not productive. What's left when you cut the noise? Silence. And in that silence you'll hear something you haven't heard in a long time. Your own voice, your own thoughts, your dreams, your fears, your truth. Silence is where the magic happens, where you remember what you actually want to do with your life, where you stop comparing yourself to everyone else and start focusing on becoming the best version of yourself. In the silence, you'll realize you already know what to do. You've always known. The noise just convinced you that your knowledge wasn't good enough, that you needed someone else's blueprint, that you needed to wait for more information before you could start. You don't need more information, you need less. You need to simplify. Subtract, not add. Focus, not expand. Go deep, not wide. Pick one thing, one goal, one project, one skill, one habit. Pour all your energy into that one thing until it's done or mastered. Then pick the next one thing. This is how everything meaningful gets built. One thing at a time, without distraction.
The noise tells you to diversify. Have multiple income streams. Learn 10 skills at once. Network with hundreds of people. Be everywhere. Do everything. This is a trap. This is how you become mediocre at everything and excellent at nothing. Excellence requires obsession. Obsession requires focus. Focus requires cutting the noise. Cutting the noise requires discipline. Discipline requires deciding what you're willing to sacrifice for what you want to achieve. What are you willing to sacrifice? Your comfort, your social media addiction, your need to feel important, your fear of missing out, your desire to be liked by everyone, your habit of making excuses. Everything you want is on the other side of something you're not willing to give up. Most people never get what they want because they want to add success without subtracting anything else. They want to gain without losing, grow without changing. Doesn't work that way. Change requires loss. Growth requires sacrifice. Success requires saying no to almost everything so you can say yes to the one thing that matters most. The noise makes this sound extreme, unhealthy, impossible. The noise is wrong. This isn't extreme, it's focused. This isn't unhealthy, it's intentional. This isn't impossible. This is how every person who achieved anything meaningful did it, by cutting the noise and focusing on the signal. What's your signal? What's the one thing that, if you focused on it completely for the next year, would transform your life? Building a business, getting in the best shape of your life, developing a skill, strengthening your relationships, creating something. Whatever it is, that's your signal. Everything else is noise. Every other goal, priority, opportunity is just noise pulling you away from your signal. The stronger your signal, the easier it becomes to identify and eliminate the noise. But here's what happens next. The moment you start focusing on your signal, the noise gets louder, distractions multiply, new opportunities appear. People tell you about other things you should be doing. Your brain manufactures a million reasons why you should diversify your focus. This is the test. This is where most people fail. They start strong, but can't resist the noise. They can't handle the simplicity. They can't trust that doing less leads to achieving more. The noise feels important. It feels urgent. It feels like you're missing out if you ignore it. This is an illusion. The noise is designed to feel this way. It exists to pull you from your signal because your signal is dangerous to the noise. Your signal makes the noise irrelevant. When you're focused on your signal, you stop consuming as much content. You stop buying courses. You stop following gurus. You stop needing external validation. You become self-reliant. You become internally motivated. You become dangerous to the entire industry that profits from your distraction. This is why the noise fights back. This is why staying focused is so hard. There are billion-dollar industries built on keeping you distracted, consuming, searching for the next thing, instead of focusing on the current thing. But you're stronger than the noise. You're smarter than the algorithms. You are more powerful than the systems designed to capture your attention. You just have to remember this truth and act on it consistently. Acting on it means making hard choices, disappointing people, saying no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones, being boring for a while so you can be interesting later, being unknown for a while so you can be unforgettable later. The noise tells you to be everywhere. The truth tells you to be somewhere specific, doing something specific, better than anyone else. The noise says be a generalist. The truth says be a specialist. The noise says keep your options open. The truth says close your options and commit. Commitment is scary because it means betting on yourself. It means believing you have what it takes to succeed at the thing you've chosen to focus on. It means accepting responsibility for the outcome. It means no more excuses. Most people would rather have excuses than results. Excuses are comfortable. Excuses let you blame external factors for internal failures. Excuses let you keep trying without really committing. Excuses are noise. Results require silence. Results require focus. Results require doing the same thing over and over until you get so good that people can't ignore you. Results require cutting through all the noise and focusing on the one thing that actually moves the needle. What moves the needle for you? Not what moves it for other people. Not what moves it in theory. What actually moves the needle for you in your situation, with your resources, toward your specific goal. This is different for everyone. This is why generic advice is useless. Why following someone else's blueprint rarely works. Why you need to cut the noise and listen to your own experience, your own results, your own feedback loop. Your feedback loop is simple. You do something. You measure the result. You adjust based on what you learn. You do it again. This is how you improve. This is how you grow. This is how you succeed. Everything else is noise. The noise wants to complicate this process. It wants to add steps, systems, strategies, tactics. It wants to make you feel like you need a PhD in productivity to get anything done. This is designed to keep you stuck in analysis paralysis.
Analysis paralysis feels productive, but produces nothing. It feels like learning, but teaches nothing. It feels like progress, but goes nowhere. It's the most dangerous type of noise because it masquerades as work while preventing you from actually working. How do you know if you're stuck in analysis paralysis? You're consuming more than creating, planning more than executing, thinking more than doing, preparing more than performing. The cure is simple but not easy. Stop consuming, start creating, stop planning, start executing, stop thinking, start doing, stop preparing, start performing. This will feel uncomfortable at first, because you won't feel ready. Nobody ever feels ready. Ready is a feeling, not a requirement. You don't need to feel ready to start. You don't need to feel confident to take action. You don't need to feel motivated to do the work. These feelings are noise. These feelings are excuses disguised as requirements. The only requirement is that you start. Start messy. Start scared. Start unprepared. Start without knowing what you're doing. Start anyway. This is how everyone who accomplished anything started. Not with certainty, but with commitment. Not with confidence, but with courage. Not with knowledge, but with willingness to learn through doing. Learning through doing is the only learning that matters. Everything else is entertainment. You can read 1,000 books about swimming, but you don't know how to swim until you get in the water. You can watch 1,000 videos about starting a business, but you don't know how to start a business until you start one. The noise wants you believing you need to know everything before you start anything. This is impossible and unnecessary. You only need to know enough to take the next step. Then you take the next step and learn what you need to know for the step after that. This is how all progress happens. One step at a time, not by knowing the entire path before you start walking, not by having all the answers before you start asking questions, not by eliminating all risk before you start taking action. Risk is part of the process. Uncertainty is part of the journey. Failure is part of the education. The noise wants to eliminate these elements because they're uncomfortable. The truth embraces these elements because they're necessary. Without risk, there's no reward. Without uncertainty, there's no growth. Without failure, there's no learning. Without discomfort, there's no strength. The noise promises you a path without these challenges. The noise is lying. There is no path to anything meaningful that doesn't include risk, uncertainty, failure, and discomfort. Anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. Anyone who promises an easy path is selling a lie. Anyone who guarantees success without struggle is taking advantage of your desperation. Desperation is noise. Hope is noise. Motivation is noise. These are temporary states that come and go. You can't build a life on temporary states. You need something more permanent, more reliable, something that doesn't depend on how you feel. That something is discipline. Discipline is doing what you need to do, whether you want to or not. Discipline is showing up whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is working whether you're motivated or not. Discipline is the bridge between what you want and what you have. The noise tells you discipline is hard. That discipline requires willpower. That discipline is about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. The noise is making it harder than it needs to be. Discipline isn't about willpower. Willpower is a limited resource that gets depleted throughout the day. If you rely on willpower to maintain discipline, you'll fail. Discipline is about systems. Discipline is about environment. Discipline is about making the right choice, the easy choice. How do you make the right choice the easy choice? You remove the wrong choices. Don't keep junk food in your house if you want to eat healthy. Don't keep your phone in your bedroom if you want to sleep better. Don't follow accounts that make you feel bad about yourself if you want to feel good about yourself. This is environmental design. This is making discipline automatic instead of optional. This is cutting the noise at the source instead of trying to resist it through willpower. This is setting yourself up for success instead of relying on motivation to carry you through. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation comes and goes. Motivation is affected by your mood, energy, circumstances, environment. If you depend on motivation to get things done, you'll get things done sometimes. Sometimes isn't a strategy. Sometimes isn't a system. Sometimes isn't enough. What's enough? Consistency. Showing up every day, whether you feel like it or not, whether you're motivated or not, whether you see immediate results or not. Consistency is the compound interest of self-improvement. Small actions, repeated daily, create massive results over time. But the noise doesn't want you thinking in terms of time. The noise wants you thinking in terms of now. It wants immediate results, instant gratification, progress every day, every week, every month. This expectation is poison. It leads to impatience. Impatience leads to switching strategies. Switching strategies leads to starting over. Starting over leads to never finishing anything. Never finishing anything leads to never achieving anything. Real results take time. Real change takes time. Real improvement takes time. The noise doesn't want you accepting this truth, because accepting it means you'll stop consuming quick fixes and start committing to long-term processes.
Long-term thinking is kryptonite to the noise. The noise feeds on urgency, scarcity, fear of missing out. The noise dies in patience, abundance, fear of missing the point. The point is that everything worthwhile takes longer than you think and rewards you more than you can imagine. This is why cutting the noise matters. The noise shortens your time horizon, makes you impatient, makes you give up right before the breakthrough, makes you switch strategies right before they start working. How long does it take for a strategy to start working? Longer than you think. How long to build a habit? Longer than you think. How long to see results? Longer than you think. How long to change your life? Longer than you think. This isn't meant to discourage you. This is meant to prepare you. This is meant to help you cut through the noise that promises fast results and commit to the process that delivers real results. Real results are worth waiting for, worth working for, worth the sacrifice. What sacrifice? Trading instant gratification for delayed gratification. Being busy for being productive. Looking good for feeling good. External validation for internal satisfaction. The many for the few. The good for the great. Great requires saying no to good. Great requires focusing on fewer things so you can be better at them. Great requires depth instead of breadth. Quality instead of quantity. Mastery instead of mediocrity. Mastery is the goal, not perfection. The difference is that perfection is impossible, and mastery is inevitable if you stick with something long enough. The noise tells you to aim for perfection, so you'll give up when you don't achieve it. The truth tells you to aim for mastery, so you'll keep going until you achieve it. How do you achieve mastery? By doing the same thing over and over, getting slightly better each time, for longer than most people are willing to do it. This sounds boring, repetitive, like the opposite of what the noise promises. The noise promises variety, excitement, that success should be fun and easy and engaging all the time. The noise is wrong. Real success is often boring. Real progress is often repetitive. Real mastery requires doing the fundamentals over and over until they become second nature. Second nature means you don't have to think about it anymore. You don't have to motivate yourself to do it anymore. It's become who you are, not just what you do. This is when compound interest kicks in, when the breakthrough happens, when the magic appears. But magic takes time. Magic requires patience. Magic demands consistency. The noise wants to sell you magic tricks. The truth gives you the formula for real magic. Real magic is consistent action over time. Real magic is boring until it's not. When does boring become exciting? When you start seeing results, when your work starts paying off, when other people start noticing what you've built, when you realize that all the noise you cut, all the distractions you eliminated, all the focus you maintained was worth it. This is the moment you understand the power of cutting the noise. When you realize that less really is more. When you see that focus beats talent, consistency beats intensity, simple beats complex. Simple beats complex every time. Complex feels impressive, but accomplishes nothing. Complex gives you excuses for not starting, reasons to quit. Complex is noise disguised as sophistication. Simple is direct, clear, actionable, maintainable, scalable. Simple works. The noise makes everything complex, so you'll keep searching for something simpler instead of using the simple thing right in front of you. What's right in front of you? Your next step, not your 100th step, not your final step, your next step, the next action you need to take to move closer to your goal. This is all you need to focus on, all you need to know, all you need to do. Do your next step, then do the step after that, then the step after that. Keep doing this until you reach your goal. This is the system, the strategy, the secret. Everything else is noise. The noise will try convincing you it's more complicated than this, that you need more steps, more systems, more strategies. The noise profits from your confusion. The noise dies from your clarity. Clarity comes from cutting the noise, from focusing on what matters, from doing instead of consuming, creating instead of copying, trusting yourself instead of following others. Trust yourself. You know more than you think. You're stronger than you believe. You're more capable than you imagine. The noise has convinced you otherwise, but the noise is wrong. The noise wants you believing you need someone else to save you, to motivate you, to give you the answers, to hold you accountable, to believe in you before you can believe in yourself. This is dependency. This is weakness. This is giving away your power to people who don't care about your success as much as they care about your attention. Your attention is valuable. Your focus is precious. Your time is limited. Stop giving these resources to people who aren't invested in your outcomes. Invest in yourself instead, in your skills, in your knowledge, in your health, in your relationships, in your future, instead of someone else's present. Your future depends on what you do today, not what you consume today, not what you learn today, what you do today. Action is the only thing that changes your circumstances. Everything else is mental masturbation.
Mental masturbation feels good, but produces nothing. It gives you the illusion of progress without actual progress, makes you feel smart without making you successful, keeps you busy without making you productive. It's the most dangerous type of noise because it's disguised as work. Real work produces real results. Real work is measurable, has outcomes, changes your situation. If what you're doing doesn't produce measurable results, that change your situation. It's not work. It's entertainment disguised as work. Stop entertaining yourself with fake work. Start challenging yourself with real work. Real work is uncomfortable, difficult, requires focus, requires cutting the noise. Cut the noise, cut the distractions, cut the excuses, cut the complexity, cut the consumption. Cut everything that's not essential to your progress. What's left after you cut everything not essential? The essential. The essential is all you need. The essential is your goal. Your next step toward that goal. The minimum viable action you can take today to make progress. The essential is simple, clear, actionable. The essential doesn't require motivation. It just requires execution. Execute. Stop planning and start executing. Stop researching and start doing. Stop consuming and start creating. Stop following and start leading. Stop waiting and start working. The time is now. The person is you. The choice is yours. Choose to cut the noise. Choose to focus on what matters. Choose to do the work. Choose to trust yourself. Choose to start now. Choose to keep going. Choose to see it through. Choose to succeed. Success isn't complicated. It's not mysterious. It's not reserved for other people. Success is available to anyone willing to cut the noise and focus on the signal. Available to anyone willing to do the work when no one's watching. Available to anyone willing to be consistent when consistency is boring. Success is available to you right now, today, in this moment. All you have to do is cut the noise and focus on what matters. Take the next step. Start now. The noise will tell you to wait, that you're not ready, to consume more content first. The noise is lying. You're as ready as you'll ever be. You know as much as you need to know. You have everything you need to start. What you don't have is time to waste. Years to spend preparing. The luxury of waiting for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions don't exist. Perfect timing doesn't exist. Perfect preparation doesn't exist. What exists is now. What exists is you. What exists is your ability to choose what you focus on. Choose to focus on what matters. Choose to cut the noise. Choose to start now. Your future self is counting on you. Don't let them down.
Most people want success, but most people also avoid the hard work that creates it. They look for shortcuts, easy wins, and the path of least resistance. That's why they stay stuck. The truth is, the work everyone avoids is the work that changes everything. It's waking up early when no one is watching. It's practicing your craft long after the excitement is gone. It's facing the tasks that scare you, frustrate you, and stretch you. If you want to separate yourself from the crowd, stop hiding from the hard stuff. Run toward it. While others are making excuses, you're building skills. While they're scrolling, you're studying. While they're waiting for the right time, you're already moving. This is how you win. The world rewards those who do what others won't. The things they call boring, painful, or impossible, those are the things that will make you unstoppable. Do the work they avoid, and one day they'll wonder how you did it. You'll know. You didn't take the easy road. You took the only road that leads somewhere worth going. Most people spend their lives running from discomfort, not realizing that discomfort is the price of growth. They'll avoid the extra hours, the extra reps, the extra study sessions, because they think it's too much. They want the reward without the grind. But if you step into the work they avoid, you gain something far more valuable than just progress. You gain an edge. You build a kind of toughness that can't be faked. You start to trust yourself because you've proven over and over that you're willing to show up when it's hard. Every time you choose the work instead of the excuse, you're rewriting your story. You're moving yourself from average to exceptional. The things people whisper about being too difficult become your training ground. And while they're still on the starting line, you're already halfway through the race. The work they avoid is the work that will test you. It will break your comfort, your patterns, your old habits. It will force you to face the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. And that's why most people never touch it. They don't want to see what they're made of. But if you're serious about becoming more, you have to walk straight into that fire. You have to lift the weight everyone else drops. You have to take the calls, send the emails, put in the miles, stay in the room when it's uncomfortable. The people who rise to the top aren't always the most talented. They're the ones who keep going when everyone else quits. Doing the work they avoid isn't just about getting ahead. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't flinch when life gets hard. Because once you've built yourself in the heat of that work, nothing can take that strength away from you. And when the results finally come, and they will, you'll know it wasn't luck. It was choice. Day after day, you chose to do the work no one else would. The work they avoid is where the real opportunities live. It's the unglamorous stuff that doesn't get posted on social media. It's the early mornings when the world is still asleep and you're grinding in silence. It's the late nights when everyone else has tapped out and you're still pushing. It's the boring repetition, the uncomfortable conversations, the sacrifices that no one sees. Most people will never taste the rewards they dream about because they skip the steps that feel too heavy. They want to skip straight to the victory speech without fighting the battles. But that's not how it works. The battles are the point. The grind is the point. The hard, unseen labor you do when nobody is watching, that's the foundation of everything great. If you want to build something that lasts, you have to pour yourself into the bricks no one else wants to lift. And here's the truth. When you commit to doing the work they avoid, you start separating yourself from the crowd faster than you can imagine. You stop competing with them because you're on a different level entirely. While they're waiting for motivation, you're moving on discipline. While they're worrying about being tired, you've already finished what you set out to do. This is where confidence comes from, not from pep talks or empty affirmations, but from knowing you've earned your progress with sweat, time, and sacrifice. And once you feel that kind of confidence, you carry it everywhere. It changes the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you take on challenges. The work they avoid is the very thing that will make you unstoppable. Because if you can get yourself to do what others refuse to do, there's no limit to where you can go. Most people run from the hard work because it doesn't feel good right away. They tell themselves they'll start tomorrow or wait until the time is right. But tomorrow is just an excuse dressed up as patience, and the right time never comes. The work they avoid, the calls they don't want to make, the projects they don't want to start, the training they don't want to show up for, that's the exact place they should be. That's the resistance pointing you toward growth. If it feels heavy, if it feels uncomfortable, if it scares you a little, that's the sign you're in the right place. Every time you push into that discomfort, instead of backing away, you're sharpening yourself. You're building a toughness they can't fake and they can't buy. You're showing yourself that you can carry weight others drop the second it gets hard. And that's not just about winning. It's about becoming the kind of person who can face anything without folding. The work they avoid will test you in ways you won't expect. It will strip away your excuses and confront you with your limits. And when you hit those limits, you'll have a choice. Stop, like most people do, or push past them. That choice is where greatness is made. You don't have to be the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented to win. You just have to be the one willing to keep going when others quit. And here's the beauty of it. The more you do the hard work, the more it stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like your edge. You actually start hunting for it. You'll see the tasks everyone else avoids as the fast lane to your own progress. Because while they're stuck in the comfort zone, you're building skill, discipline, and resilience in the fire. And when the moment comes to deliver, when the lights are on and the pressure is high, you won't need luck. You'll have something better. You'll have proof. Proof that you did the work they avoided. And that's why you'll walk away with what they wanted. Most people want the reward without touching the grind. They dream about the outcome, the recognition, the success. But when it's time to dig in and sweat, they vanish. They'll fill their day with easy tasks, busy work, anything to avoid the thing that actually matters. But here's the truth. They're not avoiding the work, they're avoiding themselves. Because the hard work is a mirror. It shows you your weaknesses. It reveals where you're unprepared, undisciplined, or lazy. And facing that truth is uncomfortable. That's why they run. But if you want to be different, if you want to stand out, you have to run toward that mirror. You have to look at yourself without filters, without excuses, and then go back into the fire, again and again, until you've burned away what doesn't belong. That's the difference between someone who wishes for a better life and someone who builds it with their own hands. The work they avoid is the real separator. Not talent, not luck, not even opportunity. It's the willingness to consistently do the unglamorous, thankless, and brutally repetitive work when no one is watching. It's showing up to practice when your body is tired. It's studying when your friends are out. It's staying late to fix the details that nobody will ever thank you for. Because you're not doing it for thanks. You're doing it for the standard you've set for yourself. And when you live that way, something changes inside you. You stop looking for motivation because you've replaced it with discipline. You stop fearing failure because you've seen what happens when you keep going after it knocks you down. And most importantly, you stop caring about what most people are doing because you already know. Most people are avoiding the work. That's why they'll stay where they are. And that's exactly why you won't. The work they avoid is where the treasure is buried. It's where the real growth happens. Everyone loves the idea of transformation, but few want to endure the process that forces it. That process is messy, uncomfortable, and often lonely. It demands you to push past the point where you feel like quitting, to keep grinding when it feels like there's nothing left in the tank. That's the breaking point most people won't cross. They turn back right when things get heavy, telling themselves it's not worth it, that it's too much, that maybe they're not cut out for it. But the people who break through, the ones you admire, the ones whose names you remember, they walk straight into that moment and refuse to stop. They did the work everyone else left behind. They cleaned up the jobs no one wanted. They kept lifting when the weight was ugly and awkward. They kept writing when the words wouldn't come. They stayed with it until they turned the work no one wanted into the edge no one could take from them. And here's the part no one tells you. The work they avoid is exactly what makes you unshakable. Because once you've been through it, once you've carried that weight day after day, your mind changes. You stop seeing hard as something to fear. You start craving it, because you know the harder it gets, the more it's shaping you. Every time you choose the work over comfort, you stack another brick of confidence. Not fake confidence that disappears when life hits you, but the kind that can't be touched because you earned it in the dark. That's why, in the end, there's no real competition. Most people are waiting for things to get easier. You're out there getting stronger. Most people are chasing shortcuts. You're building the kind of foundation that doesn't crack. Most people are avoiding the work. You've made it your home. And when the moment comes to prove yourself, you won't have to rise to the occasion. You'll just be ready because you've been living there all along. When you choose to do the work they avoid, you are making a quiet contract with yourself. that you will not settle for average, that you will not lower your standards to match the comfort zone of the crowd. This is not glamorous work. It rarely comes with applause. It will test you in silence, and the results will often take longer than you think they should. You will wake up some mornings and wonder if it's even working. You'll feel the pull to quit and join the rest, to slow down and make excuses. That's the moment that decides everything. Because the truth is, everyone feels that pull, but the ones who win are the ones who push past it. They keep moving forward, not because they're superhuman, but because they understand that showing up is more important than feeling ready. They've learned that momentum is built by doing the small, thankless tasks over and over, stacking wins no one sees until they finally add up into something undeniable. And while they're avoiding the work, you're becoming the kind of person they'll one day admire but can never imitate. They can copy your style, but they can't copy the hours you've put in. They can repeat your words, but they can't duplicate the weight you've carried. That's why the gap between you and them will keep growing. Every day they avoid the grind, the gap widens. Every time you say yes to the hard choice, you move ahead while they stay in place. This is how greatness is built. Not in grand, dramatic gestures, but in the quiet decision to lean into the pain, the boredom, the difficulty, and the discipline that others can't handle. One day, the very work they ran from will be the reason they can't catch you. And in that moment, you'll understand the real reward. Not the money, not the recognition, but the unshakable pride of knowing you built yourself from the ground up by doing what they wouldn't. Most people will never admit it, but the reason they avoid the hard work is fear. Fear of looking stupid, fear of failing, fear of seeing how far they really are from their goals. It's easier to pretend you're waiting for the right time than to face the discomfort of starting now. But here's the thing. The longer you wait, the weaker you get. The muscle of discipline atrophies, your confidence fades. You become addicted to the illusion of preparation, telling yourself you'll begin when you're ready. But readiness is a myth. You become ready by stepping into the fire, by showing up when you're tired, by trying and failing and trying again. The ones who rise to the top are not the ones who had it all figured out. They are the ones who were willing to be bad at something long enough to get good. They embraced the messy, unpolished version of the journey while everyone else was busy polishing excuses. And here's the beauty of it. When you commit to doing the work they avoid, the obstacles that break most people become your training ground. Every long night sharpens your endurance. Every difficult task strengthens your focus. Every rejection builds your resilience. You stop fearing problems because you've learned to see them as proof that you're moving forward. The pain becomes familiar, almost welcome, because you know it's shaping you into someone they can't compete with. That's the hidden advantage of taking the hard road. While they're comfortable, you're becoming unshakable. And when the moment comes that life demands everything from you, you won't have to rise to the occasion. You'll already be there, forged by years of doing the work no one else had the guts to touch. That's when the world will call you lucky, but you'll know better. You'll know you earned it. One unglamorous, unseen, avoided task at a time. The truth is, the work they avoid is where all the leverage is. Anyone can show up for the fun parts, the praise, the recognition, the celebration. But the grind, in silence, the hours no one claps for, that's where you build something real. Think about it. When everyone else is skipping the early mornings, the extra practice, the uncomfortable conversations, you're stacking advantages they can't see yet. Day after day, you're separating yourself, inch by inch, until the gap is so wide, they'll never close it. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's simply refusing to do what the average person does, avoiding the difficult in favor of the easy. You understand that the easy road is the most crowded, and the crowded road rarely leads anywhere worth going. So you walk alone if you have to. You take the path that demands more from you, because you know it will give more to you in return. There will be days when you hate it, days when you question if it's worth it. That's when most people turn back. That's why their dreams stay dreams. But if you keep going, if you show up even when your body aches, your mind doubts, and no one notices, you will eventually find yourself in a place they can't reach. Not because you're better, not because you're smarter, but because you were willing to pay the price they refused to pay. And when you stand there, looking back at the road you traveled, you'll see that the obstacles weren't walls, they were weights. And every rep you pushed through made you stronger, sharper, and hungrier. That's the reward of doing the work they avoid. You don't just get the prize, you become the kind of person who can win over and over again. And here's the part no one wants to admit. Most people already know what they should be doing. They know the phone calls they've been putting off, the workouts they keep skipping, the extra effort they could be putting in at work, in school, in their craft. It's not ignorance holding them back, it's avoidance. Avoidance of discomfort, avoidance of failure, avoidance of facing the truth that they could be doing more but choose not to. That's the edge, right there. The moment you decide to stop negotiating with yourself and just do it. Not later, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, right now. You stop giving yourself an exit and you step straight into the fire. Because every time you choose discomfort over comfort, you're building the muscle that will carry you when things get hard. And trust me, things will get hard. Life will test you in ways you can't predict. And when it does, you'll either have the strength to push through, or you'll fold. Doing the work they avoid isn't glamorous. No one will post about it. You won't get applause for cleaning up your mistakes, for studying when your friends are out, for staying late while everyone else clocks out early. But that's why it works. That's why it's powerful. You're building momentum in the shadows. You're setting up a foundation so solid that when the opportunities finally come, and they will, you're not scrambling to get ready. You're already ready. You've been ready. And that readiness is what separates people who talk about success from people who live it. The question is, are you willing to live in that grind long enough for the results to show? Can you trust the process when the world isn't watching? Because if you can, if you make doing the work they avoid a habit, then one day you'll wake up and realize you've quietly outworked, outlasted, and outgrown every single person who once stood beside you. And that's when you'll understand this was never about talent, luck, or timing. It was about who was willing to do the work when no one else would. Most people are trapped by the illusion that success is some grand event, a single breakthrough moment when everything changes. But the truth, success is quiet. It's built in the hours no one sees. It's in the nights, when you push through fatigue instead of shutting down. It's in the early mornings when you start before the rest of the world wakes up. It's in the tiny, unglamorous repetitions that seem meaningless in the moment, but compound over time into something unstoppable. The work they avoid is rarely exciting, but it's always the difference maker. While they're chasing shortcuts and hacks, you're putting brick after brick in place. And when the storm comes, and it will, your foundation will stand while theirs crumbles, because you chose the slow, hard road they were too afraid to walk. The hardest part is that doing the work they avoid often feels unfair. You'll look around and see people getting ahead without doing half of what you're doing. You'll see them taking it easy and still landing opportunities. And you'll question yourself, why am I pushing this hard? Why am I sacrificing so much? That's the test. That's where most people quit. They convince themselves the grind isn't worth it because the rewards aren't instant. But you have to see past the short term. You're not playing for quick wins, you're playing for legacy, for mastery, for the kind of success that sticks because it was earned, not handed over. And when you keep showing up, when you keep doing the work they avoid, you stop competing with them entirely. They're sprinting for the finish line of a race you're not even running. You're building an entirely different track, one that only the relentless can walk. Eventually, something changes inside you. At first, doing the work they avoid feels like discipline. It feels like forcing yourself into uncomfortable situations, wrestling with resistance and dragging yourself forward when you'd rather stop. But over time, it becomes identity. You no longer just do the hard work, you are the person who does it. You become someone who sees a problem and steps toward it instead of away. Someone who takes ownership when others pass the blame. Someone who chooses the long, steep climb over the flat, easy road because you know where each one leads. The work they avoid stops being a burden and becomes your competitive edge. You realize that every time you show up when they don't, you're creating a gap between you and them. A gap so wide they'll never catch up. And here's the part they'll never understand. It's not just about the results. Yes, the work will make you better, stronger, smarter, and more capable. But the real reward is who you become in the process. The grind strips away your excuses. It forces you to face yourself without the filters and without the stories you tell to feel comfortable. It teaches you that your limits are mostly lies and that your potential is unlocked only through discomfort. They'll keep avoiding it because it's hard. But that's the entire point. The difficulty is what forges you. It's what separates the fragile from the unbreakable. So keep going, keep showing up, keep doing the work they avoid, not just for the success it will bring, but for the person it will make you. Because at the end of the day, that's the kind of victory no one can take away from you. There will be days when the work feels invisible. No one claps for you. No one notices the hours you've poured in. You'll sit there wondering if it's even worth it, wondering if the sacrifices, the late nights, and the early mornings will ever pay off. That's where most people quit. They need constant recognition to keep moving, and when it's not there, they drift back into comfort. But that's the moment you must remind yourself, you're not doing this for applause. You're not here for instant rewards. You're here because you made a choice to be different, to chase a life most people will never taste. And the path to that life is paved with the work no one sees. It's in those quiet hours, far from the spotlight, that your foundation is built. Later, when success comes, people will call you lucky. They'll have no idea how much you gave when it seemed like nothing was coming back. The work they avoid is also the work that demands you grow in ways you can't fake. It's easy to talk about discipline and commitment when things are going well, but the real test is when everything is against you. When the results are slow, when you're tired, when your mind starts whispering that you could just take it easy for a while. That's when you double down. That's when you choose to sharpen yourself instead of softening. Each time you push through, you build a kind of strength that can't be bought, taught, or borrowed. You're preparing for challenges you can't yet see, battles that will require every ounce of grit you've developed. And when those moments come, you won't have to rise to the occasion. You'll already be living there. That's why you keep doing the work they avoid, because one day you'll face a moment that would break the average person. But for you, it will be just another day to show what you're made of. Most people live their whole lives hiding from the hard work, because the hard work exposes the truth. It shows you where you're weak. It shows you how much you've been lying to yourself about your effort, your discipline, and your hunger. That's why they avoid it. They'd rather stay in the shallow end where they can pretend they're swimming. But the work you're willing to do, the work they run from, drags you into deep water. It forces you to confront every excuse, every flaw, every fear. It's uncomfortable, it's exhausting, it's humbling. And that's exactly why you should run toward it. Because every time you survive it, you become someone stronger, sharper, and more dangerous to the limits that once held you back. You're no longer someone who tries when it's convenient. You become the kind of person who delivers, no matter the cost. And here's the truth. The gap between you and everyone else isn't talent. It isn't luck. It's not even opportunity. It's the willingness to endure what they won't. They'll stop when it gets boring. You'll keep going. They'll step back when it's painful. You'll lean in. They'll take the easy road. You'll grind up the steep one. Over time, those choices create a canyon between you and them. While they're recycling the same year over and over again, you're stacking skills, stacking discipline, stacking wins. The work they avoid becomes the advantage you own. And one day, when the results explode into view, they'll call it unfair, but you'll know exactly how you earned it. Hour by hour, rep by rep, doing the work they refuse to touch. There will be days when you feel like none of it matters, when you're tired, burned out, and it seems like all your effort is invisible. No one's clapping. No one's giving you a medal for staying late, waking early, or grinding through the stuff no one else wants to touch. And in those moments, it's easy to wonder, why am I doing this? But if you're honest, you already know the answer, because this is who you chose to become. You made the decision to stop waiting for the perfect moment, for motivation to strike, for life to hand you a shortcut. You stopped chasing comfort and started chasing growth. And that means you show up when no one's watching. You work when it's boring. You improve when there's no praise. Because deep down, you understand something most people never figure out. Results don't come to the loudest, the flashiest, or the most liked. They come to the ones who keep doing the work no matter what. Every late night, every early morning, every uncomfortable step forward is part of the foundation you're building, brick by brick. That's the power in doing the work they avoid. While everyone else is living on borrowed motivation, you're building discipline. While they're chasing the next hack or trend, you're mastering the basics. While they keep waiting for conditions to be right, you're becoming the kind of person who makes results happen regardless of conditions. You don't rise by accident, you rise by design. And the design is simple. Do the work they won't. Do it when it's cold. Do it when it's lonely. Do it when no one claps. Do it because it matters, not just for the success it brings, but for the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you didn't quit. You earned every inch, and you're still climbing. You know what your problem is? You're waiting for everything to be perfect before you start. You're sitting there making plans and lists and thinking about all the ways it could go wrong and all the reasons why you're not ready yet. And while you're sitting there doing all that thinking and planning and preparing, life is passing you by. Time is slipping away. The opportunity is walking out the door. And you're still there, still planning, still waiting for the perfect moment that's never going to come. Let me tell you something about perfect moments. They don't exist. Perfect conditions don't exist. Perfect timing doesn't exist. You know what exists? Right now. This moment. This messy, imperfect, not quite ready moment that you're living in right now. And if you're going to do something with your life, if you're going to build something, if you're going to become somebody, you're going to have to start right here in this mess. Start messy. Start anyway. That's not just a nice saying to put on a poster. That's a way of life. That's how every single person who ever accomplished anything got to where they are. They started before they were ready. They started when they didn't have all the answers. They started when they didn't know what they were doing. They started messy, and they figured it out along the way. You think successful people had it all figured out when they started? You think they had perfect plans and perfect conditions and perfect timing? Man, that's the biggest lie you've been telling yourself. Every successful person you look up to, every person who built something meaningful, every person who made their dreams come true, they all started messy. They all started imperfect. They all started anyway. The difference between them and you is not that they were smarter, or more talented, or had better circumstances. The difference is they were willing to start messy. They were willing to look stupid. They were willing to fail. They were willing to be imperfect in public. And you're waiting for permission. You're waiting for someone to tell you you're ready. You're waiting for the stars to align and the conditions to be perfect. But here's what I need you to understand. Perfect is the enemy of progress. Waiting for perfect is just another way of saying you're scared. Waiting for the right time is just another way of saying you don't believe in yourself enough to start where you are with what you have. And I get it. I understand why you want to wait. Starting is scary. Starting means you might fail. Starting means people might judge you. Starting means you might not be good at it right away. Starting means you're going to be vulnerable and exposed and imperfect for everyone to see. And that's terrifying. But you know what's more terrifying? Staying where you are. Living with regret. Looking back in your life and wondering what would have happened if you had just started. Wondering what you could have built. What you could have become. What you could have achieved if you had just been brave enough to start messy. Because that's what starting is. It's an act of bravery. It's you saying, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm going to try anyway. It's you saying, I might fail, but I'm going to risk it. It's you saying, I'm not perfect, but I'm going to start where I am. And here's the thing about starting messy. It's supposed to be messy. That's not a bug, that's a feature. The mess is where the magic happens. The mess is where you learn. The mess is where you grow. The mess is where you figure out what works and what doesn't. The mess is where you become who you're supposed to become. You can't figure it out by thinking about it. You can't learn by planning. You can't grow by waiting. You have to start. You have to take action. You have to get in there and get your hands dirty and make mistakes and learn from them and keep going. Most people spend more time planning than doing. They spend more time preparing than executing. They spend more time thinking about starting than actually starting. And that's why most people never accomplish anything meaningful. Because they're waiting for a day that never comes. But not you. Not anymore. Today is the day you stop waiting. Today is the day you stop planning. Today is the day you start messy. Today is the day you start anyway. I don't care if you don't have all the money you think you need. I don't care if you don't have all the skills you think you should have. I don't care if you don't have all the connections, or the experience, or the perfect plan. Start anyway. Start with what you have. Start where you are. Start messy. Because here's what happens when you start messy. You learn. You adapt. You improve. You get better. You figure it out. You build momentum. You gain confidence. You attract opportunities. You meet people. You discover things about yourself you never knew. You become stronger. You become more resilient. You become more capable. But none of that happens if you don't start. None of that happens if you keep waiting for perfect. None of that happens if you keep making excuses and coming up with reasons why now isn't the right time. The right time is now. The right conditions are whatever conditions you're in right now. The right resources are whatever resources you have right now. The right knowledge is whatever knowledge you have right now. Because starting is not about having everything you need. Starting is about using what you have. And you have more than you think you do. You have your brain. You have your hands. You have your voice. You have your passion. You have your determination. You have your willingness to learn. You have your ability to adapt. You have your capacity to grow. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything you need to start. But you're not going to feel ready. You're never going to feel ready. Feeling ready is not a requirement for starting. In fact, if you feel completely ready, you're probably starting too late. The best time to start is when you're scared, when you're uncertain, when you don't know what you're doing. That's when you know you're stretching yourself. That's when you know you're growing. Every expert was once a beginner. Every professional was once an amateur. Every master was once a mess. They all started somewhere. They all started imperfect. They all started messy. And they all started anyway. You think the person who built the business you admire had it all figured out when they started? You think they had a perfect business plan and perfect funding and perfect timing? No, they started in their garage or their bedroom or their kitchen table. They started with an idea and a dream and a willingness to figure it out as they went along. You think the artist whose work you love was perfect when they started? No, they started with terrible drawings and bad compositions and no idea what they were doing. But they started anyway. They kept creating. They kept learning. They kept improving. You think the athlete you watch on TV was amazing when they first picked up a ball or stepped on a track? No, they were awkward and slow and made mistakes. But they started anyway. They kept practicing. They kept training. They kept getting better. Starting messy is not just okay, it's necessary. It's required. It's the only way anything meaningful ever gets built. Because perfection is static. Perfection doesn't grow. Perfection doesn't learn. Perfection doesn't adapt. But mess? Mess is dynamic. Mess is alive. Mess is where possibilities live. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but what if I fail? What if I look stupid? What if it doesn't work out? And here's what I want to tell you. You're going to fail sometimes. You are going to look stupid sometimes. It's not going to work out sometimes. So what? That's not a reason not to start. That's just life. That's just part of the process. Failure is not your enemy. Failure is your teacher. Failure is how you learn what doesn't work, so you can figure out what does. Failure is how you build resilience and determination and character. Failure is how you discover what you're really made of. But you know what's worse than failing? Not trying, not starting. Living your whole life wondering what if. Because at least if you fail, you know. At least if you fail, you tried. At least if you fail, you have a story to tell and lessons to share and experience to build on. The people who never fail are the people who never try. The people who never look stupid are the people who never take risks. The people who never have setbacks are the people who never push themselves. Is that really the life you want to live? I didn't think so. So start messy. Start imperfect. Start scared. Start uncertain. Start with what you have, where you are, as you are. Because starting is the hardest part. Starting is where most people get stuck. Starting is where dreams go to die. But not your dreams, not your future, not your potential. Your potential is not in some perfect future version of yourself. Your potential is in you right now, in this moment, with all your imperfections and uncertainties and limitations. Your potential is in your willingness to start anyway. And here's what I've learned about starting messy. It's liberating. When you stop trying to be perfect, when you stop waiting for the right conditions, when you stop making excuses, you free yourself to actually do something. You free yourself to take action. You free yourself to make progress. Because progress is not about being perfect. Progress is about being better than you were yesterday. Progress is about taking one more step. Progress is about learning one more thing. Progress is about trying one more time. And you can't make progress if you don't start. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. They think they need to have massive breakthroughs and perfect execution right from the beginning. But that's not how it works. Success is built one day at a time, one action at a time, one decision at a time. Success is built by starting messy and staying consistent. Consistency beats perfection every time. Showing up beats having it all figured out every time. Taking action beats making plans every time. Starting messy beats waiting for perfect every time. Because when you start messy, you give yourself permission to be human. You give yourself permission to learn. You give yourself permission to grow. You give yourself permission to become who you're meant to become through the process of doing, not through the process of planning. And the beautiful thing about starting messy is that nobody expects perfection from you right away. When you're clearly new, when you're clearly learning, when you're clearly figuring it out, people are forgiving, people are encouraging, people want to help. But if you wait until you think you're perfect, the expectations are higher, the pressure is greater, the fear is bigger. So use your newness as an advantage. Use your inexperience as a strength. Use your uncertainty as motivation to learn and grow and improve. Embrace the mess, embrace the awkwardness, embrace the imperfection, because that's where the real growth happens. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just figure out the next thing. You don't have to be perfect. Just be willing. Willing to start. Willing to try. Willing to fail. Willing to learn. Willing to grow. Willing to be messy. Willing to be imperfect. Willing to be human. Because that's what starting is. It's a fundamentally human act. It's you saying, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to find out. It's you saying, I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to ask the questions. It's you saying, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm going to figure it out. And that's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. But you have to start. You have to take that first messy, imperfect, uncertain step. Because everything you want, everything you dream about, everything you hope for, it's all on the other side of starting. Your business idea, it needs you to start. Your creative project, it needs you to start. Your fitness goals, they need you to start. Your relationship dreams, they need you to start. Your financial freedom, it needs you to start. Your personal growth, it needs you to start. Everything needs you to start. But you're sitting there, waiting for perfect conditions that will never come. You're sitting there, making excuses that will never be good enough. You're sitting there, planning for a future that will never arrive if you don't start today. Today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year. Today, right now, this moment, this messy, imperfect, not quite ready moment. Start writing that book, even though you don't know how it ends. Start that business, even though you don't have all the funding. Start that workout routine, even though you're out of shape. Start learning that skill, even though you're a beginner. Start having those conversations, even though you're nervous. Start taking those risks, even though you might fail. Start messy. Start anyway, because the world needs what you have to offer. The world needs your ideas, your creativity, your perspective, your solution to problems, your unique way of seeing things. But the world can't have any of that if you don't start. The world can't benefit from your potential if you keep it locked away, waiting for perfect conditions. You have something valuable inside you. You have something meaningful to contribute. You have something important to share. But none of that matters if you don't start. None of that makes a difference if you keep waiting. And I know starting is scary. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it feels risky and uncertain and overwhelming. But you know what's scarier? Staying stuck. What's more uncomfortable? Living with regret. What's riskier? Never trying. What's more uncertain? A life unlived. What's more overwhelming? Looking back on a life full of what-ifs. So feel the fear and start anyway. Feel the uncertainty and start anyway. Feel the discomfort and start anyway. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and taking action anyway. Courage is starting messy when everything in you wants to wait for perfect. And here's what happens. When you start before you're ready, you become ready. When you start before you know everything, you learn everything you need to know. When you start before you feel confident, you build confidence. When you start before you have it all figured out, you figure it out. Starting is not about having everything you need. Starting is about using what you have. Starting is not about being perfect. Starting is about being willing. Starting is not about knowing everything. Starting is about learning everything. The knowledge comes through doing. The skills come through practicing. The confidence comes through experiencing. The clarity comes through starting. But none of that comes through waiting. You can read every book about swimming, but you won't know how to swim until you get in the water. You can watch every video about riding a bike, but you won't know how to ride until you get on the bike. You can study every course about starting a business, but you won't know how to run a business until you start one. The learning happens in the doing. The growth happens in the struggling. The mastery happens in the practicing. But it all starts with starting. It all begins with that first, messy, imperfect, scared, uncertain step. And once you take that step, something magical happens. You realize it wasn't as scary as you thought. You realize you're more capable than you believed. You realize you can figure things out as you go. You realize that starting messy is not a weakness, it's a superpower. Because people who start messy are the people who get things done. People who start messy are the people who make progress. People who start messy are the people who achieve their goals. People who start messy are the people who live their dreams. The perfectionists, they're still planning. The people waiting for the right time, they're still waiting. The people who need to have it all figured out, they're still figuring. But the people who start messy, they're out there doing. They're out there building. They're out there creating. They're out there living. Which person do you want to be?
I know which person you want to be. I know because you're here. I know because you're listening. I know because something inside you knows that you're capable of more. Something inside you knows that you have potential that's not being used. Something inside you knows that you're meant for something bigger. But potential means nothing if you don't act on it. Dreams mean nothing if you don't pursue them. Goals mean nothing if you don't work toward them. Ideas mean nothing if you don't execute them. Hope means nothing if you don't take steps to make it reality. And taking steps means starting. Starting messy. Starting imperfect. Starting scared. Starting anyway. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you. You're never going to feel completely ready. You're never going to have all the information. You're never going to have perfect conditions. You're never going to have complete certainty. If you wait for those things, you'll wait forever. But you don't need those things to start. You need courage. You need determination. You need willingness. You need faith in yourself and your ability to figure things out. You need to believe that you can learn what you need to learn and do what you need to do and become who you need to become. And you can. You absolutely can. But only if you start. Only if you take action. Only if you stop making excuses and start making progress. The excuses will always be there. There will always be reasons not to start. There will always be obstacles and challenges and uncertainties. There will always be a voice in your head telling you to wait, to prepare more, to get just a little bit more ready. Don't listen to that voice. That voice is not trying to help you. That voice is trying to keep you safe. But safety is overrated. Safety is the enemy of growth. Safety is the enemy of achievement. Safety is the enemy of living your dreams. You weren't born to be safe. You were born to be significant. You were born to make a difference. You were born to contribute something meaningful to this world. But you can't do any of that from your comfort zone. You can't do any of that by playing it safe. You can't do any of that by waiting for perfect. Perfect is a prison. Perfect is a lie. Perfect is the reason most people never start anything meaningful. Perfect is the excuse that keeps you small. Perfect is the standard that keeps you stuck. But messy is freedom. Messy is truth. Messy is the beginning of everything great. Messy is the excuse to get started. Messy is the standard that lets you grow. Embrace the mess. Love the mess. Celebrate the mess. Because the mess is where the magic happens. The mess is where dreams come to life. The mess is where ordinary people become extraordinary.
And you are not ordinary. You are extraordinary.
You have extraordinary potential. You have extraordinary capabilities. You have extraordinary value to offer the world. But the world will never see any of that if you don't start, if you don't begin, if you don't take that first messy step. So what are you waiting for? What excuse are you going to use today? What reason are you going to give for not starting? What condition needs to be perfect before you'll take action? Whatever it is, it's not good enough. Whatever it is, it's just fear dressed up as logic. Whatever it is, it's just another way of staying stuck. But you don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to keep waiting. You don't have to keep making excuses. You can start today. You can start right now. You can start messy. You can start anyway. And when you do, when you finally take that step, when you finally start that thing you've been thinking about, when you finally stop waiting and start doing, something inside you will change. Something will shift. Something will come alive. You'll remember who you are. You'll remember what you're capable of. You'll remember why you're here. You'll remember that you're not meant to sit on the sidelines of your own life. You're meant to be in the game. You're meant to be taking action. You're meant to be making things happen. That's who you are. That's who you've always been. That's who you're going to be when you stop letting fear make your decisions and start letting courage guide your actions. So start messy. Start imperfect. Start scared. Start uncertain. Start with doubt. Start with questions. Start with problems. Start with challenges. Start anyway. Because starting is not about having all the answers. Starting is about being willing to find them. Starting is not about being perfect. Starting is about being persistent. Starting is not about knowing everything. Starting is about learning everything. And you can learn everything you need to learn. You can figure out everything you need to figure out. You can become everything you need to become. But only if you start. Only if you begin. Only if you take action. The time for planning is over. The time for preparing is finished. The time for waiting has ended. The time for starting is now. The time for action is today. The time for pursuing your dreams is this moment. Don't let this moment pass. Don't let this opportunity slip away. Don't let fear win. Don't let doubt decide. Don't let excuses rule your life. Take control. Take action. Take the first step. Take it messy. Take it imperfect. Take it scared. But take it. Your future self is counting on you. Your dreams are depending on you. Your potential is waiting for you. The world needs what you have to offer. But it all starts with starting. It all begins with beginning. It all happens when you stop waiting and start doing. Because let me tell you what happens when you don't start. Let me paint you a picture of where waiting gets you. You wake up one day and you're 40, 50, 60 years old, and you realize you spent your whole life preparing to live instead of actually living. You spent your whole life getting ready instead of getting going. You spent your whole life planning your dream instead of pursuing it. And that regret,
That pain of knowing you could have done something but didn't. That's worse than any failure you could ever experience by starting. That's worse than any embarrassment you could feel by being imperfect. That's worse than any setback you could face by taking action. Because at least when you fail after trying, you have a story. At least when you mess up after starting, you have experience. At least when you fall down after taking action, you have the knowledge of what it feels like to get back up. But when you never try, when you never start, you have nothing. You have what ifs and maybes and I should haves. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you to be the person who lives with regret. I don't want you to be the person who looks back and wonders what could have been. I don't want you to be the person who had dreams but never chased them, who had ideas but never acted on them, who had potential but never used it. You're better than that. You're stronger than that. You're braver than that. But you have to prove it. You have to prove it to yourself. You have to prove it by starting. You have to prove it by taking action. You have to prove it by doing something instead of just thinking about doing something. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, but I don't know how. You're going to say, but I don't have experience. You're going to say, but what if I'm not good at it? And to all of that I say, so what? So what if you don't know how? So what if you don't have experience? So what if you're not good at it right away? Nobody knows how when they start. Nobody has experience before they start gaining experience. Nobody is good at something before they start practicing it. That's not how it works. That's not how anything works. You don't get good at something by thinking about it. You get good at something by doing it badly until you do it well. Start messy. Start anyway. Start now. Because there's never been a better time than right now. There's never been a better day than today. There's never been a better moment than this moment. This is your time. This is your chance. This is your opportunity. Don't waste it. Don't let it pass. Don't let fear win. Don't let doubt decide. Don't let excuses rule your life. Start. Begin. Act. Move. Do something. Do anything. Just do it messy. Just do it imperfect. Just do it anyway. Your future depends on it. Your dreams are counting on it. Your potential is waiting for it. The world needs it. Start messy. Start anyway. Start today. Start now. You could be someone. You could be that person who changes everything. You could be the one who breaks the cycle. You could be the one who finally makes it happen. But right now you're sitting there making excuses. Right now you're sitting there telling yourself why it won't work. Right now you're sitting there waiting for permission that's never going to come. Listen to me carefully. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to give you what you want. Nobody is coming to make your dreams come true. That's on you. That's always been on you. What if I told you that everything you've ever wanted is possible? What if I told you that the only thing standing between you and the life you want is you? What if I told you that you have everything you need right now to become someone? You don't need more money. You don't need more time. You don't need more connections. You don't need more luck. You need more action. You need more discipline. You need more belief in yourself. You need to stop making excuses and start making moves. You want to know what separates the people who make it from the people who don't? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not who they know. It's their willingness to do what everyone else won't do. It's their willingness to get up when everyone else stays down. It's their willingness to work when everyone else is sleeping. It's their willingness to believe when everyone else doubts. It's their willingness to keep going when everyone else quits. You could be someone, but you have to want it bad enough. You have to want it more than you want to stay comfortable. You have to want it more than you want to fit in. You have to want it more than you want people to like you. You have to want it more than you want to avoid failure. You have to want it more than you want to avoid pain. You have to want it more than anything else in your life. Most people don't want it that bad. Most people want to be successful, but they don't want to do what it takes to be successful. They want the rewards without the work. They want the destination without the journey. They want the crown without the fight. They want the victory without the struggle. That's not how it works. That's never been how it works. You think successful people just got lucky? You think they just happened to be in the right place at the right time? You think they just got handed everything? No, they worked for it. They sacrificed for it. They bled for it. They cried for it. They failed for it. They got back up for it. They kept going when everyone told them to stop. They kept believing when everyone told them it was impossible. You could be someone, but you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to be different. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to be willing to stand alone. You have to be willing to be criticized. You have to be willing to be doubted. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to get back up. You have to be willing to try again. Success is not comfortable. Success is not easy. Success is not guaranteed. Success is not for everyone. Success is for those who are willing to pay the price. Success is for those who are willing to do what others won't do. Success is for those who are willing to become someone they've never been before. You sit there and you complain about your circumstances. You sit there and you blame other people. You sit there and you make excuses about why you can't make it. But what are you doing about it? What are you actually doing to change your situation? What are you doing to become someone? Are you reading? Are you learning? Are you growing? Are you working? Are you trying? Or are you just complaining? Complaining doesn't change anything. Blaming doesn't change anything. Making excuses doesn't change anything. Only action changes things. Only work changes things. Only persistence changes things. Only belief changes things. Only you can change things. You could be someone. You could be the person who inspires others. You could be the person who breaks generational poverty. You could be the person who proves everyone wrong. You could be the person who achieves what everyone said was impossible. You could be the person who changes your family's legacy. You could be the person who makes a difference. But you have to start. You have to start now. You have to start today. There's no perfect time. There's no perfect moment. There's no perfect situation. There's no perfect plan. There's only now. There's only today. There's only this moment. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to waste it like you've wasted so many others? Or are you going to use it to start becoming someone? Every day you wait is another day wasted. Every day you make excuses is another day you stay the same. Every day you don't take action is another day you remain nobody. How many more days are you going to waste? How many more years are you going to let pass by? How much longer are you going to live below your potential? You have potential. You have greatness inside you. You have something special. But potential without action is worthless. Greatness without work is meaningless. Something special without effort is nothing. You have to bring it out. You have to work for it. You have to fight for it. You have to demand it from yourself. You could be someone, but you have to believe it first. You have to see it in your mind before anyone else can see it in reality. You have to believe in yourself when nobody else believes in you. You have to have faith when there's no evidence. You have to trust the process when you can't see the results. You have to keep going when everything tells you to stop. Belief is everything. Belief is what separates those who make it from those who don't. Belief is what keeps you going when times get tough. Belief is what pushes you forward when everyone else falls back. Belief is what makes the impossible possible. Belief is what turns dreams into reality. But belief without action is just wishful thinking. You can believe all you want, but if you don't do anything about it, nothing will happen. You have to combine belief with action. You have to combine faith with work. You have to combine dreams with discipline. You have to combine vision with execution. You could be someone. You could be the person who never gives up. You could be the person who always finds a way. You could be the person who turns obstacles into opportunities. You could be the person who turns setbacks into comebacks. You could be the person who turns pain into power. You could be the person who turns struggle into strength. Life is going to hit you. Life is going to knock you down. Life is going to test you. Life is going to try to break you. But you don't have to stay down. You don't have to stay broken. You don't have to let life win. You can get back up. You can fight back. You can overcome. You can win. Every champion has been knocked down. Every winner has faced defeat. Every success story has chapters of failure. The difference is, they got back up. They learned from their mistakes. They adjusted their approach. They kept going. They never gave up on becoming someone. You think it's too late? You think you're too old? You think you've missed your chance? That's just your mind playing tricks on you. That's just fear talking. That's just doubt trying to keep you down. It's never too late to become someone. It's never too late to change your life. It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to become who you're meant to be. Colonel Sanders was 62 when he started KFC. Laura Ingalls Wilder didn't publish her first Little House book until she was 65. Grandma Moses didn't start painting until she was 78. Age is just a number. Time is just an excuse. The only thing that matters is what you do with the time you have left. You could be someone, but you have to stop waiting for the right moment. You have to stop waiting for permission. You have to stop waiting for someone else to give you a chance. You have to create your own moment. You have to give yourself permission. You have to create your own chances. Nobody is going to hand you success. Nobody is going to give you what you want. Nobody is going to make your dreams come true. You have to take what's yours. You have to earn what you want. You have to make your own dreams come true. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop looking for easy ways. Stop looking for someone else to do the work for you. There are no shortcuts to anywhere worth going. There are no easy ways to anything worth having. Nobody can do your work for you. You have to do it yourself. You could be someone. You could be great. You could be extraordinary. You could be legendary. But you have to be willing to do extraordinary things. You have to be willing to live an extraordinary life. You have to be willing to make extraordinary sacrifices. You have to be willing to put in extraordinary effort. Ordinary people do ordinary things and get ordinary results. Extraordinary people do extraordinary things and get extraordinary results. Which one are you? Which one do you want to be? Which one are you willing to become? The choice is yours. It's always been yours. You can continue to be nobody, or you can choose to be someone. You can continue to make excuses, or you can choose to make progress. You can continue to wait, or you can choose to act. You can continue to dream, or you can choose to work. You could be someone. You could be the person who changes everything. You could be the person who breaks every limitation. You could be the person who achieves every goal. You could be the person who becomes everything you've ever dreamed of becoming. But it starts with a decision. It starts with a commitment. It starts with action. What are you waiting for? What's holding you back? What's stopping you from becoming someone? Fear, doubt, other people's opinions, past failures, current circumstances. None of that matters. None of that has any power over you unless you give it power. You have the power to overcome anything. You have the power to become anyone you want to become. You were not born to be average. You were not born to be mediocre. You were not born to be nobody. You were born to be someone. You were born to make a difference. You were born to leave a mark. You were born to be great. But greatness doesn't happen by accident. Greatness happens by design. Greatness happens by choice. Greatness happens by action. Every great person was once a nobody who decided to become someone. Every success story started with someone who had nothing but decided to create something. Every legend was once unknown, but chose to make themselves known. You have that same choice. You have that same opportunity. You have that same potential. You could be someone, but you have to start treating yourself like someone. You have to start thinking like someone. You have to start acting like someone. You have to start working like someone. You have to start believing like someone. You have to start living like someone who deserves to be someone. Stop settling for less. Stop accepting mediocrity. Stop being comfortable with being nobody. You deserve more. You're capable of more. You can be more. You can do more. You can have more. You can become more. But you have to demand more from yourself. Your potential is unlimited. Your possibilities are endless. Your future is unwritten. You get to decide what happens next. You get to choose who you become. You get to determine your destiny. You have that power. You've always had that power. The question is, what are you going to do with it? You could be someone who inspires millions. You could be someone who changes industries. You could be someone who breaks barriers. You could be someone who creates solutions. You could be someone who builds empires. You could be someone who leaves legacies. You could be someone who makes history. But it all starts with believing you could be someone. It all starts with deciding to be someone. It all starts with working to become someone. It all starts with never giving up on becoming someone. It all starts with you. The world is waiting for you to become someone. Your family is waiting for you to become someone. Your future is waiting for you to become someone. Your dreams are waiting for you to become someone. Your purpose is waiting for you to become someone. Stop making them wait. Stop making yourself wait. You could be someone. You should be someone. You will be someone. But only if you decide to be someone. Only if you commit to being someone. Only if you work to become someone. Only if you never stop believing you could be someone. The time is now. The moment is here. The opportunity is yours. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to waste it like you've wasted so many others? Or are you going to seize it and finally become someone? You could be someone. The question is, will you be someone? Will you do what it takes to be someone? Will you sacrifice what it takes to be someone? Will you work as hard as it takes to be someone? Will you believe as strongly as it takes to be someone? The answer to that question will determine everything. It will determine your future. It will determine your legacy. It will determine your impact. It will determine whether you remain nobody or finally become someone. You have everything you need to be someone. You have the intelligence, you have the ability, you have the opportunity, you have the time. The only question is, do you have the will? Do you have the determination? Do you have the persistence? Do you have the courage to become someone? I believe you do. I believe you can be someone. I believe you will be someone. But it doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what you believe. It only matters what you do. It only matters if you're willing to become someone. So stop reading and start doing. Stop thinking and start acting. Stop planning and start executing. Stop dreaming and start working. Stop being nobody and start becoming someone. You could be someone. Now go be someone. The world doesn't need another nobody. The world needs someone. The world needs you to be someone. Your family needs you to be someone. Your future needs you to be someone. You need you to be someone. Stop waiting for tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. There's only today. There's only now. There's only this moment to start becoming someone. Don't waste it. Don't let it pass by. Use it. Seize it. Make it count. You could be someone extraordinary. You could be someone remarkable. You could be someone unforgettable. You could be someone who matters. You could be someone who makes a difference. You could be someone who changes the world. But first, you have to be someone who takes action. You have to be someone who doesn't give up. You have to be someone who keeps going. You have to be someone who believes in themselves. You have to be someone who works harder than everyone else. The path to becoming someone is not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would be someone. But not everyone is willing to do what it takes. Not everyone is willing to pay the price. Not everyone is willing to make the sacrifices. Not everyone is willing to put in the work. But you're not everyone. You're you. You're special. You're unique. You're one of a kind. You have something that nobody else has. You have something that the world needs. You have something that can make you someone. You just have to find it. You just have to develop it. You just have to use it. You just have to share it. You just have to become it. You just have to be it. You could be someone who never settles. You could be someone who never quits. You could be someone who never gives up. You could be someone who always finds a way. You could be someone who always keeps going. You could be someone who always believes. The choice is yours. The power is yours. The opportunity is yours. The future is yours. The potential is yours. The greatness is yours. You are someone. Right now, in this moment, you are someone. But the question is, what kind of someone are you going to be? Are you going to be someone who settles for average? Are you going to be someone who accepts mediocrity? Are you going to be someone who gives up when things get hard? Or are you going to be someone who fights? Someone who persists? Someone who never backs down? The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not talent, it's not luck, it's not connections, it's not even intelligence. The difference is how they respond when life hits them in the face. The difference is what they do when everything goes wrong. The difference is how they handle failure, rejection, and disappointment. You could be someone who uses failure as fuel. You could be someone who turns rejection into redirection. You could be someone who transforms disappointment into determination. You could be someone who takes every setback and turns it into a comeback. You could be someone who never lets circumstances define their destiny. But right now, you're probably sitting there making excuses. Right now, you're probably telling yourself why you can't succeed. Right now, you're probably focusing on all the reasons why it won't work, instead of the one reason why it will work, because you decided it will work. Listen to me carefully.
Your excuses are killing your dreams. Your excuses are destroying your potential. Your excuses are keeping you stuck in a life you don't want. Your excuses are the enemy of your greatness. Your excuses are the reason you're nobody instead of someone. Stop making excuses and start making moves. Stop explaining why you can't and start showing why you can. Stop talking about all the obstacles and start finding ways around them. Stop focusing on the problems and start creating solutions. Stop being the victim and start being the victor. You could be someone who takes complete responsibility for their life. You could be someone who never blames anyone else for their circumstances. You could be someone who understands that if it's going to be, it's up to me. You could be someone who knows that their success or failure is in their own hands. Most people want to blame everyone else for their problems. They want to blame their parents, their teachers, their boss, their spouse, the government, the economy, society, racism, sexism, ageism, anything and anyone except themselves. But blame is just another excuse. Blame is just another way to avoid taking responsibility. Blame is just another way to stay stuck. You could be someone different. You could be someone who takes ownership. You could be someone who says, my life is my responsibility. My success is my responsibility. My happiness is my responsibility. My future is my responsibility. You could be someone who stops pointing fingers and starts taking action. When you take responsibility for your life, you take back your power. When you stop blaming others, you start controlling your destiny. When you accept that everything in your life is a result of your choices, you realize that you can make different choices and get different results. You could be someone who makes better choices. You could be someone who chooses growth over comfort. You could be someone who chooses action over procrastination. You could be someone who chooses persistence over giving up. You could be someone who chooses excellence over mediocrity. Every day you make thousands of choices. Most of them seem small and insignificant, but they add up, they compound. They determine the direction of your life. They determine whether you become someone or remain nobody. You choose what time you wake up. You choose what you eat for breakfast. You choose whether to exercise or not. You choose what you read. You choose what you watch. You choose who you spend time with. You choose how you respond to challenges. You choose your attitude. You choose your effort. You choose your commitment. All of these choices matter. All of these choices count. All of these choices are either moving you toward becoming someone or keeping you stuck as nobody. There's no neutral. There's no standing still. You're either growing or you're dying. You're either progressing or you're regressing. You're either becoming someone or you're remaining nobody. You could be someone who understands that success is not an accident. Success is not luck. Success is not a coincidence. Success is a choice. Success is a habit. Success is a lifestyle. Success is a mindset. Success is a decision that you make every single day. Successful people don't hope for success. They don't wish for success. They don't pray for success. They work for success. They plan for success. They prepare for success. They expect success. They demand success from themselves. You could be someone who demands more from yourself. You could be someone who refuses to accept less than your best. You could be someone who pushes yourself beyond your comfort zone. You could be someone who does what others won't do. You could be someone who goes where others won't go. The comfort zone is the enemy of greatness. The comfort zone is where dreams go to die. The comfort zone is where potential gets wasted.
The comfort zone is where nobodies stay nobodies. If you want to become someone, you have to leave your comfort zone. You have to do things that scare you. You have to take risks. You have to be willing to fail. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. Failure is the tuition you pay for success. Failure is the education you need to succeed. Failure is the experience that teaches you what doesn't work so you can find what does work. You could be someone who embraces failure. You could be someone who learns from every mistake. You could be someone who gets better with every setback. You could be someone who uses every defeat as motivation to come back stronger. You could be someone who never lets failure defeat them. Most people are so afraid of failure that they never try. They never take risks. They never step out of their comfort zone. They never pursue their dreams. They choose the safety of mediocrity over the uncertainty of greatness. They choose the guarantee of being nobody over the possibility of being someone. But you could be different. You could be someone who understands that the biggest risk is not taking any risks. You could be someone who knows that playing it safe is the most dangerous thing you can do. You could be someone who realizes that you regret the chances you didn't take more than the chances you did take. You could be someone who takes chances. You could be someone who bets on themselves. You could be someone who believes in their ability to figure things out. You could be someone who trusts their instincts. You could be someone who follows their heart even when their head says no. The world belongs to those who show up. The world belongs to those who take action. The world belongs to those who try. The world belongs to those who persist. The world belongs to those who never give up. The world belongs to those who believe they can become someone. You could be someone who shows up every day. You could be someone who does the work even when you don't feel like it. You could be someone who stays consistent even when results don't come immediately. You could be someone who keeps going even when everyone else quits. Consistency is the mother of mastery. Consistency is the key to breakthrough. Consistency is what separates the professionals from the amateurs. Consistency is what separates the champions from the wannabes. Consistency is what separates the someones from the nobodies. You could be someone who is consistent in their effort. You could be someone who is consistent in their commitment. You could be someone who is consistent in their habits. You could be someone who is consistent in their mindset. You could be someone who is consistent in their pursuit of greatness. But consistency is hard. Consistency requires discipline. Consistency requires sacrifice. Consistency requires you to do things when you don't want to do them. Consistency requires you to keep going when you want to quit. Consistency requires you to be someone even when you feel like nobody. If you've ever wondered about the real story behind this channel, how I went from struggling and lost to motivating thousands of people every single day, now's your chance to hear it. I've shared my full journey, all the ups and downs, in a special audio and PDF just for you. If you want to get inspired and learn how I turned my life around, check out the link in the pinned comment. Your breakthrough might be just one story away. If you want to take our motivational speeches with you anywhere, they're now on Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, and all other streaming platforms. Just hit the link in the pinned comment and start listening anytime you need that push. And for everyone who's been asking, yes, you can now rock your favorite motivational quotes and designs. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, tracksuits, coffee cups, and more waiting for you in our merch store. Links in the pinned comment. Go check it out, join the movement, and let's keep growing together.